button. Boom. Alrighty. Everybody, so go and pile on in here. Oh my God, we got Matt in the building. Listen, everybody, you may not know who Matt is, but he's pretty amazing. Okay. So we're gonna make this quick, okay? This is the 1031 exchange refresher. This is to give you guys the basics, let you guys understand what a 1031 exchange is. So you're not walking around talking to people about, well, I heard you can defer the taxes. I mean, that's as much as I got. You're not going to do that. Okay. Today, you guys are going to all be professionals, and I'm excited to help you be professionals. Let me check a few things first, because I don't know what's going on here, but it's some technological issues. Slideshow, I guess. All right. Okay. For those who don't know me, my name is Lance Grove. I run Grove 1031. We are 1031 Exchange Accommodating Company. And when I move my hand, look at this thing. I got married. Huh. Would you look at that? Prove my mom wrong. I thought I was going to die desolate and alone. Turns out I'm not. Somebody likes me. Anyway, I'm going to get to this information extremely quick so you guys have all the information you do need. If you guys have any questions, put it into the comment box. I will gladly answer them. I'll even, if you guys want to answer via video, I'll highlight you. And what do we do here? We make you a promoter? I don't know. You just raise your hands if you want to talk, okay? Okay. All right, let's carry on. Now I need to share. Okay, allow. Why is this doing this? Boom. Okay, that did not help. Can you guys see my screen? One of you got, there we go. We got one person using the chat section. Let me just check. Can you guys see this? Huh? Triple check here. You know, troubleshooting? No, no. Okay. Well, that's okay. I'm going to carry on anyways. Oh, there we go. All right. So again, company's called Growth 1031. We do 1031 exchanges. Today is a 15-minute refresher so that when you're talking to your client, you actually understand what a 1031 exchange is, what it does, and why it's so importante. That is Spanish for important. Okay. Do you guys want to give us a call? Our number is 619-991-1031. Call us anytime. And if you want to email us, if you have questions after, info@growth1031.com. Now, I'm not going to go through all this. This is our, this is just kind of, we're going to go through the process and give you guys the basics. We're not going to go into the tax updates. Nothing has changed. Tax law is like changing healthcare. Like you need Congress, executive office. Nothing has changed. But I'm going to go into why this thing is important. But before I do, the truth is, whenever anybody actually entertains a 1031 exchange, it's truly when they're already under contract and they're about to close, and a good attorney or escrow officer is like, hey, is this an investment property? They're like, yeah. It's like, are you going to pay the taxes on this? Because it's going to be a lot. They're like, well, I don't want to. They're like, you should probably do an exchange. And then they call us. And while in that period, they're like, well, what was that 1031 exchange? You go Googling a bunch of things and they get regular comments. Instead, here is the verbatim definition of what a 1031 exchange actually is: a section of the U.S. Internal Revenue Code that allows investors to defer capital gains on an exchange of like-kind properties held for business or investment purposes. Yes, that sounds like a lot, but we're going to break that down. Here's a simple example, okay? All of us start a company. We want to purchase a piece of property. We all put in, super excited, 100K, everything we own. Oh my God. Now, over the course of 10 years, some real estate agent comes to us and says, hey, you know that property you bought 10 years ago for 100K? I can sell it for $1 million. We're excited. What? This is our profit, 900,000. 900. Honestly, that is all people think about. They're like, I don't even care. I was like, just sell it, give me the money, give me the money, give me the money, give me the money. But the truth is, what people do not realize is when you sell a real estate asset, it is the largest taxable consequence. So between state tax, federal tax, what's called your depreciation recapture tax, you're going to be looking at a blended average of roughly 30 to 33%. So in this scenario, the 33%, that 900K, 320,000. Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel it. So a 1031 exchange allows you to keep that. That is why it's so important. Okay. Now, here's kind of like the basic process. Like you think, oh, I want to sell my place. Okay, great. You list the property. When you're like putting the information out there, this is a legal etiquette, not a requirement. Because a lot of people call, well, do I have to put any fancy language into the contracts? No, you don't. You can, but it's not a requirement. We flood people with all the legal documents. But you can put buyer acknowledges that this transaction is part of a 1031 exchange. Buyer agrees to cooperate. It's a legal etiquette. It has no binding effect on anything, honestly. But number one thing you need to know, though, is that contact your accommodator. Simple. The moment, not the moment you sell, not the moment you list, the moment you get under contract, the moment a buyer hands you a deposit, the moment money is involved, contact your accommodator. We are your shield against taxes, everybody. The shield that guards the realms of men. No Game of Thrones fans? Okay. Carry on. Anyway, as soon as escrow closes, then the kind of the burden goes back on the exchanger, the client, where they have the ID period and they have the entire time to conduct this entire transaction. So that's like the basic process, okay? The basics, what properties qualify? How do I defer my taxes? How long do I have to ID? Pay attention to that one. And what's the entire timeline to conduct this transaction? In all honesty, simple. What properties qualify for a 1031 exchange? All you got to do is remember this. A property qualifies for a 1031 exchange if it is held for business or investment purposes. Okay, so all of you residential agents on here, who we got here? You look like a few residential agents. Let's see you. Joking. Uh, doesn't apply for a home that a person is domiciled in. Pay attention to that. That is where they live there, claim their residence. Now, you can purchase a residential home. Okay. You live in there, it does not qualify. But if you do not live in there, you let someone else live in there. They pay you money for the privilege. That is now being used for business or investment, or to help it fit in you guys' brain, commercial. And if you guys want to understand how they kind of define this, they look at this right here. What was the intent? When you were buying this, why did you buy this? Did you buy this to raise your kids, play catch with the dog, get your Netflix? Or did you buy this to put someone else in there and gain income from it? And I'm not even going to go into the different channels if you are running your business out of there. A lot of us work from home. You have an LLC, a certain portion of the house be used for business or investment. It gets crazy. We're going to keep it simple because I like to keep this under 15 minutes. Okay. All righty. Now, when you're exchanging, you are exchanging, meaning you're going from one property to the next, and you are exchanging into what's called like-kind property. Okay. Now, a lot of people kind of confuse this. They look at it as a very narrow term. Like if I have a 3-unit, I have to get another 3-unit. You don't. Okay. Like-kind is very broad. You can go from a 3-unit to an office space. You can go from an office space to a plot of raw land. Hmm? You can go from a plot of raw land to a 60-unit complex just as long as this remains like kind. Your intent. Did you sell a piece of property for business or investment? Great. Did you buy a piece of property for business or investment? Great. That's it. Doesn't have to be the structure, same unit, same blah, blah. No, just stay out of the don't sell an investment property and then move into a home, which a lot of people try to do. And there's ways around that, but I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, first rule, does a property qualify? Yes, if it's held for business or investment purposes. Simple and plain, okay? Now, when you're helping or selling a piece of property, you're going to see a CPA and they're going to be like, these are your taxes. And you're going to be like, oh my God, you're going to contact us and we're going to give you one rule. Hey, when you're selling this piece of property, I want you to know this. You're going to have to reinvest all of the funds into a new property at equal or greater in value. Let's dig into that. Sell a piece of property, 500,000. Okay. The focus is what's called your net sales price. Pay attention to that because that is everything after your non-reoccurring closing costs. So you sell at 500, you get to subtract your closing costs. You got title fees, attorney fees, escrow fees, accommodator fees. And let's say you're at 450 after all of those fees. Then that is your new benchmark to defer 100% of your capital gains tax. Okay. Not your loan, which we're going to bring up. People always ask, well, what if I don't reinvest all of my cash? We sell at 5 after our closing costs. We're at 450. 450 is our benchmark. But we decide to buy a property at 400,000. 400,000 will be completely tax deferred, and the 50 that we fall short will be taxed. It's called a partial exchange. Some people like to call it boot. All right, a little exchange humor. You guys don't get it. Anyway, a lot of people ask, well, do I have to replace my debt? You kind of do. So the common example is, remember, we ended up at 450. People typically, when they're selling, they have to pay off a loan for like 200,000. So they're only left with 250. And what is the benchmark they have to hit no matter what? 450. They don't care if you have to pay off a loan. You only got 250. If your net sales price, you sold at five, take off your closing costs, you have 450, that's your number. Oh, you had to pay off a mortgage? You mean the mortgage you paid every month? A reoccurring debt, not non-reoccurring, like title fees, all those fees, you're going to have to make that up. So, yes, you do have to replace your debt. And people always ask, well, can I purchase multiple properties? Absolutely. We sell one property for 450. Let's go and buy $100,000 property and one $50,000 property, just as long as we hit that benchmark. Collectively, individually, it doesn't matter. Okay. First rule, does a property qualify? Yes, if it is held for business or investment. How do you defer those taxes? Simple. When you sell the property, you have to reinvest all of the funds, not some of it, all of it, into a new property at equal or greater in value. And here is the governing law, the big dog. This is the number one reason exchanges fail. At the close of escrow, you're going to have 45 days to identify your replacement property. That's 45 calendar days, okay? Don't think you get weekends off. Kwanzaa, Christmas. Look at this ring, though. It's just constantly there, like a prison. Kidding. Anyway, at the close of escrow, you're going to have 45 calendar days, okay? 45 calendar days. And you have to identify your replacement property, and it must be in writing and unambiguous. Basically, you just can't call me and say, hey, I'm getting a piece of property someplace in Arizona. We need a specific address, someplace we can allocate value to. Got it? And these are the wonderful credentials we provide. We provide a client ID form, has a line for an address, a line for the price, and a line for your signature. The end. Do that. 45 days is done. No, you don't have to be under contract. You don't, it is not that complicated. It really is. As a last resort, we'll accept an email clearly identifying your replacement property while acknowledging this is your identification for your relinquished property. That's the property you sold, relinquished property you purchased, replacement. But use our form, put a lot of energy into it. Pretty proud of it. And this is the common ways of identifying. Actually, number three is the most common. Simple. Three property rule. Under this rule, you have three options, plan A, B, and C. Simple. And it can be as expensive as you want. So remember, we sold for 450. Now you want to identify a new property at, I don't know, 500,000. Okay, I'm just making stuff up. But the point is, you can identify for as much as you want. But I say use all three, because what happens? You identify three properties, one of them falls out. The other one, I don't know, I can't get financing. The HOA has decided, I don't know, I see all types of things all day. I can show if I show you my email screen. But use all three, because people a lot of times get very focused on one. And it's like, dude, you got three options, use them, because after 45 days, is it. Okay. Now, let's say, well, Lance, three options is just it's not enough for me. I like to spread it around a little bit. Okay. You can use the 200% rule. And under the 200% rule, you can identify an unlimited number of properties, provided that the aggregated sum doesn't exceed 200% of your initial sales price. Okay. So all my math nerds in here, under this rule, if I can only purchase in increments of 400,000, how many of these properties can I purchase before I violate the rule? Give me an answer. Somebody hit me in the chat. I need that Jeopardy music, dun, 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 dun. Really need to learn how to do sound effects. Anyway. Oh, nobody. Well, that's okay. Everybody's locked in. Under this rule, if you can only purchase in increments under 400,000 and your initial sale was 1 million, you can purchase up to five $400,000 properties, because 5 times 400,000 is $2 million, and 2 million is 200% of 1 million. Get it? Huh? Three property rule, expensive as you want, but you only have three. 200% rule, as many properties as you want, but it can't exceed 200%, double your sales price. Okay? So Most people use the three property rule. If they go over three identifications, then they're in the 200% rule. And then I'm on top of them like, hey, let me see those purchase contracts. Let's make sure it isn't too expensive what you're doing here. My favorite section, by the way, favorite slide. It's called the but what if section. Because typically people will always ask, they understand how tough this rule is. And they're like, well, but what if? They want to throw all these scenarios at me. So what if I want a different property after, you know, day 45? And I tell them, my friend, I've studied this law a long time. If you go to 1031 subsection B, paragraph 4, and you look there, you are considered what's called SOL. Yeah, you pay your taxes. Hard and fast rule. Pay your taxes. Canceled, failed, done. Or people ask, can you backdate it? It's day 46, they hand it to me. Can you just put day 45? That's considered fraud. So we like to stay away from that. Got some relief for you though. You know, you can't communicate with your buyer because when does the 45-day rule start? The day the transaction closes, the day the buyer funds, the day your name is taken off title. Boom. So if you want more time for your 45-day, keep your escrow open. Talk to your buyer. Hey, I'm doing the 1031, buddy. If I can't find a piece of property, I know you want to close on Tuesday, but can we close by Friday? Take it easy. Simple. Your only other option if there is a presidential disaster declaration where the property lies, and that's basically Hurricane Katrina coming down, blowing up everything except your property, being declared a national emergency, and then the governor saying, hey, state of emergency, you got more time. Good luck with the hurricane or COVID. Speak to your buyer. Last rule, at the close of escrow, your client is going to have 180 days to conduct this entire transaction. 180 calendar days, okay? Some important rules for you guys to know. Whoa, first time going over to 15. Taxpayer selling the relinquished property should generally be the same taxpayer acquiring the replacement property. Name on the sale needs to be the name on the replacement. Slight exceptions, but that's when you're getting into technical issues with entity structures. If it's LLC on this property, LLC on that property, same thing, except if it's a single member pass-through entity, and I don't want to bore you. Anyway, the replacement property can be purchased anywhere within the United States or United States territories. I once did an exchange in Guam, Puerto Rico, all U.S. territories. So yes, state to state, island to island. And stay away from related party transactions. That's the best way I can put that. If you're doing a transaction between a relative, it's like checking, please audit me box. You do not want to do that. It is invasive and obnoxious. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Where are we at here? Oh, so review. What kind of properties qualify for a 1031 exchange? Properties that are held for business or investment purposes. How do you defer all these taxes? When you sell, reinvest all of the funds into a new property at equal or greater in value. What's the timeline to identify your property? 45 days. Your entire timeline to conduct this entire transaction? 180. Boom. Well, let's move this. Actually, there we go. There you go. So there you have it. You have all been refreshed. Any questions? This is the first time I haven't seen questions. So I will open the floor. The floor is yours. I'm not seeing anything. Well, good. You guys can give us a call if you do have any questions privately, 619-991-1031, or email us info@growth1031, or email me, Lance@growth1031. Thank you all for coming.